Hey Gearheads, and welcome to GT Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory, and welcome to Season 3 of GT Garage Talk. Very excited for this one. We are kicking it off with a bang because I actually have, believe it or not, an in-studio guest with me in Lonnie Johnson, a longtime radio personality here in the East Texas area. Like to talk cars with him, pick his brain from his experience. Lonnie, great to have you with us.
Hey, Cory, how are you doing, man?
Man, I am doing great. They dropped a Ford Bronco off for me today. I took the doors and top off immediately.
Is it the little black one with the two-door?
No, I've got you had, yes, I'm jealous. You had the two-door.
Yeah.
No, I've got the big four-door Outer Banks is the trim that I have, which is comparable to a Jeep Sahara. And, you know, very comfortable on road. It's got leather seats, heated seats, you know, the comfort stuff with mild tires. So they're not too noisy or anything like that.
That was the first two that they sent me. One was Outer Banks. I forget what the other one was, but they predominantly had street tires and a pretty mild setting on it. And for this first vehicle of the last Ford run I've done, they sent the Badlands two-door down. I was able to take it. I wanted to take it to Barnwell.
Right.
The only time I can really test these things out at Barnwell or if they're two doors, just because of the sheer size of the vehicles. Right. So Barnwell was tied up, so I went to a place I think called Rabbit Run.
Okay.
Which is primarily a redneck mud park. Okay.
Welcome to East Texas.
Yeah, it is what it is. Man, could not have been more impressed with how flawless that it was to operate this thing in all conditions. I mean, I drive a Jeep. It's my everyday vehicle, and it's got the two-speed transfer case, so it's got the multiple choices. The Badlands did as well. So you kind of choose what terrain you wanted it to go on, and it was effortless. Effortless is the best way to describe it,
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. Ford invited me out to they call them the off-rodeo training park, where if you buy a full-size Bronco or the Badlands Bronco Sport, you're given a day of training out at one of their four facilities around the country. And we are fortunate enough to have one here in the state of Texas, outside of Austin, kind of in the Llano area, and it was a blast. I hopped in a two-door there as well. I got a Wild Track, which had everything except for the disconnectable sway bar, which I missed sorely. I wanted that on the vehicle that I had, but it was bright blue, the Velocity blue that they've got. It was gorgeous rig. And having this one, like I took my son to my parents' house in Flint, about 30-minute drive from here. Took the doors off, took the roof off. I wrapped him up in a blanket because it's a little chilly today for 60 miles an hour with no roof and no doors. But yeah, so far so good. I'm loving it. How about you, man? What's going on with you? Give us a little insight into your background, your history in the automotive world, if you would.
Yeah, it's not that interesting. Let's see. I started out working at KTBB. A guy named Roger Gray, who's super influential to me, was a writer and an auto writer, and wanted to do a car show. Wanted to bring me on as a sidekick. I came on for comedic relief, basically, to Roger's straight man run. Roger eventually wanted to retire. I brought on David Irwin, took over the show, kind of gave it my own spin with a lot of input, with a lot of leaning on Irwin for knowledge, on automotive knowledge. And we did the show. It got a lot of complaints early on, and we were going to be forced off the air. And my boss at the station, who's still my boss today and a great guy, pulled me in and he pulled Roger in his office and said, "Hey, Lonnie's gone off the reservation. We knew this would happen. I need you to get back on the show, put him in the passenger seat again, and we'll start this over." To which I politely explained to my boss and Roger that I just wasn't interested in that. Didn't want to do like a straight Motor Trend show. Wanted to have a little bit more levity to it, lightness. It's so hard to do an automotive show without the serious segments, without the politics of the actual manufacturers and what they have to go through. And so there's just so many straight shows on. I wanted to kind of lighten it up a little bit. and just got started. Ended up lasting 15 years. David passed a couple years ago. I wrapped it up. 15 years was a good run.
Right.
Wanted a break anyway. Radio's a little different than the podcasting.
Yeah. A little more flexible on podcast.
Absolutely. Just being a slave to the clock, knowing that every Saturday at 10 a.m. I had to have 2 hours worth of content. I actually probably had to have 4 hours worth of content ready to go to get through 2 hours. And it became a little bit monotonous. And I had a son that was just ending up his years in high school. Wanted to focus on that and have enjoyed that quite a bit. Met you.
Right.
You ran me down in the service station the other day, and I decided, hey, I'd like to give this a shot just to see how it goes. And that's really all there is. It's kind of a boring story, but it was a lot of fun. The show was a lot of fun over the years. We were able to talk cars with people, and just everything about the culture interests me. And I was lucky enough to have the manufacturers still allow me to review cars on the website, which is KTBB.com. If you want to go there to visit my car show page, you can read reviews. On the Bronco, just to go back to it, get off me, get on what really matters. The Bronco, I'm impressed by it, but I have to tell you that the fit and finish is atrocious at this point.
Yeah.
And if you,
they're wanting to crank them out. Is it the problem?
I get it. And COVID, God bless them, they've had a lot of trouble with COVID, and I feel very sorry for them. But the road noise on the first generation of these removable hardtops is unbearable, and they've addressed it, and they're insulating them now. Which, if you're interested in buying a Bronco, I would tell you that that's a huge, huge improvement, because the first ones were almost too loud to take on a trip.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for them and what this Bronco holds. They're clearly a direct competitor of the Jeep. They've become so successful about it by that now when I see a Jeep or a Bronco on the road, I kind of do a double take to see which one I'm looking at.
Well, it was crazy. Like I said, I just drove down to Flint, and in the short 30-minute drive there, a first edition Bronco pulled up next to me, and he was waving me down. And there isn't the Jeep wave, quote unquote, for Bronco owners yet, but it'll be interesting to see.
Flying the finger to Jeep owners. I think is that the Bronco wave.
It'll be interesting to see what they do, because we ended up traveling next to each other for quite a ways, and a previous gen JK Rubicon was in front of us, and we kind of swarmed on him. I'm like, yeah. We got you here. But yeah, I am thoroughly impressed with this Bronco so far. This is the first time I've sampled an Outer Banks version. I cannot tell you if it's got a first gen or a second gen top. Notoriously, you mentioned it, they recalled all of them.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, they were that bad.
You can't spend $50,000 and wish that your mother-in-law was yelling at you going down the road. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So we've got a buddy on the channel that he and I took he had a Black Diamond, took it bone stock. His first time ever off-road, he and I went to Barnwell in his, and we're doing some things out there. It's an hour drive out there. The wind noise wasn't bad in it. He's got one of the new gen tops on it. So they are figuring it out along the way, the on-the-job training kind of thing. They're ironing out those last little details that they couldn't stand on the shoulders of Jeep and say, you know what, we're going to put the windows on the cowl. You know what, we're going to do frameless windows on the doors so the doors are smaller when you take off. It's just that last 10 feet of the entire process, making it clean and user-friendly, that you would want to have it as your daily.
And sadly, to any rednecks listening, that's not even Ford's best, most interesting vehicle to me right now. Far and away, it's the Mustang Mach-E that interests me the most.
Okay.
I guess we've both been in this car also. Yep. Is that correct? You've been in it?
So very serendipitous how you and I met. So Tuesday is our Ford delivery day, both of us in this market. And I'm driving around an XLT Explorer, just typical family car. It's not even a top trim or anything like that. Took my son to the library, and I see a silver Mach-E.
What, do they have to send you top trim all the time? I mean, is our podcast this high tone? I mean, is it like this? Okay, I can. Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I've gotten a little spoiled.
Okay.
You're driving the Expedition right now. That is still one of my favorite vehicles that they've dropped off for us.
Hard not to like it.
And that one was the limited trim, and not even top trim as it is. So it's nice. It's not extravagant. It was perfect for us.
It's okay for us old radio guys. The podcast guy, a little tough. You might need to add a few more extras on.
Yeah, where's my massaging seats? But that's beside the point. No, but so driving the Explorer, and I see this silver Mach-E in town, and I know there's a dark gray one around. So I'm like, I don't think that's it. And I look in my rearview mirror, see the Michigan plates. I'm like, nope, that's Lonnie. And so, I start cranking the wheel. I pull a Yui and go track you down at the service station, and I pull up next to you. You're on the phone or something. I'm like, that sure looks a whole lot like the rig I took to Amarillo and back. So yes, I have plenty of seat time in that Mach-E. I feel like I've learned it better than any press rig I've ever had.
What the hell do you think about it?
I've seen the highs and I've seen the lows. So
is the low related to the product or the low related to the infrastructure?
The infrastructure.
That's what I thought.
More than anything. I will say, if it had a 300-mile usable range on it, the infrastructure would be less a problem. So they could bump up the range and solve more or less easily one of my biggest gripes of it, and that was the fact that Google Maps said Tyler to Amarillo is supposed to be 7 hours. At the Ford Pass or whatever they call it, the built-in navigation said 10. I'm like, okay, I can swallow it because, I got to stop for food along the way, whatever. I can eat that extra time. I know 3 hours is a lot, but traveling across Texas, you get used to it. Turned out to be 14. Ended up going into Oklahoma for part of it, which was like a hard pass on my original list. I didn't want to leave the state.
So you chose this route because of the charging stations?
Yeah, okay. I was forced into it.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
The first stop, I overcharged it because, filming and doing everything I had to do for YouTube. I was there longer than it wanted me to be there because it wasn't going to top me off. It just said, okay, you need to get to like 75% and then you can be on your way again, which was all well and good, had dinner, whatnot, and got it up to 80%. So it unbeknownst to me, until I hit the road again, it rerouted me and was going to take me a different way than I had already mentally prepared myself for. And so on the fly, I'm trying to reroute my built-in navigation a little bit more to stay on my original plan. And it wasn't working for me. And I ended up stopping at a hotel at one of their overnight chargers, which was not a fast charger by any means. I think I was there for 30 minutes and had 5 miles.
The term fast charger is abused at this point.
If it's not 150 kilowatt hour chargers, it's not a fast charger.
Correct. And before I give you my reaction to it, I just want to say, I'm 100% on with the Mach-E, and I loved the product itself. The infrastructure was frustrating more than I think it needed to be.
Especially here in East Texas.
Correct.
We don't have any fast chargers. The nearest one to us that isn't Tesla branded is, I'd say, probably Shreveport or Dallas.
They're as rare as an East Texas Democratic candidate. Yeah. Listen, they are just not here. Okay, no. So that's the thing that I found out was that there's 3 primary stations in town. One at a junior college and 2 at local dealerships.
Yep.
To give
both
them
behind lock and key.
Yes, for the most part, they're right off the service department.
Yep.
But I found that the range was less than what I was told it would be.
Right.
And as I understand, that had a lot to do with weather. It was a very cold week when I had it. So instead of I think they're getting like 260 miles out of a charge, I was only able to get 200 at a fully charged point. And the truth is, I'm all in on electric vehicles. It's what interests me. If I was 21 now, nothing would give me more joy than ripping out the interior of a Tesla, putting in a racing seat, and just destroying Hellcats all over town.
Yes.
But until they until they get the structure here, the infrastructure here, it's not viable here. And Jim, I don't know how well you know the guys that deliver the trucks or cars to us from Ford, but they're both named Jim. They're both great guys, known them for 20 years. And, I don't want to get them in. I don't want to reference them anymore because they're not. they have to deliver. Well, they have to deliver the car, and what I want to get at is when Jim rarely calls me the day before. He'll call me the day of, but rarely the day before. And he called me up, Lonnie. Well, I'm bringing a little electric car to you. I'm like, okay. Yeah, you got to meet me somewhere because it's only got. And what I heard in his voice was the definition of range anxiety. Yep. For the first time, spent years talking about it on the show. Never truly experienced range anxiety. And in this instance, I was able to experience it before I got the car through his voice. He brings it, and I find that the week that I spent in the car, although I absolutely love the tech on the car, it's flawless.
The build quality.
The build quality.
I was blown away.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you want?
It is not a parts bin Ford car. Sure, the turnstocks are parts bin, the lock, unlock. But like you get in it, if you're not told it's a Ford, you're not picking it out as a Ford. There's nothing in there that just screams, last gen, 2-gen old Ford. I was personally blown away. For that to be the first Ford press vehicle delivered to me, I'm like, well, if they're all this good, I'm a Ford guy now. You're famously sitting next to that bow tie right there on the table next to you came off my 07 Chevy truck. It's like, I'm a Chevy guy.
That's kind of strange. I just gotta I see a lot of first in my life because I'm 55 and I've not seen an emblem taken off an old used car of your own. Is there anything else that you took off of it?
I've got mementos all. So
back of the front seat, maybe.
No, I took the bow ties off because I put some billet aluminum ones on there. So I kept the plastic.
You put a billet aluminum bow tie.
Yep, on the grill.
You should have stepped it up and just cut it out and done a flow tie.
That was before the flow tie was a thing.
Okay.
So, I'm not a crystal ball reader. I don't see into the future. So, man, I could have made tons of money there. And
you could have. That would have been a thought.
Yeah.
Come to me for any future revenue building thoughts. But no, this. I don't know how long you want to stay on this point. It really interests me. But I think if they could get the infrastructure, Jim pointed out that in Houston, just north of Houston, there's you can go to the crappiest Walmart convenience store, and there's these superchargers there that can charge you from 20 to 80% in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is more of those, please. Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware? What's the holdup? Is it the infrastructure program that the president wants to get passed? Is that the holdup on it, or is it?
It's my understanding. One, Electrify America is the company that VW basically were punished to make because of the whole Dieselgate scandal. So their penance for cheating the U.S. government out of emissions and all of that fun stuff is, we'll build this electric infrastructure. And they partnered with Walmart, which is why practically every major city's Walmart has 4 or more Electrify America stations out front. It's a good partnership because Walmarts are everywhere, but Electrify America everywhere, and you're good to go. The problem is, like you said, they're just nowhere to be found here. The infrastructure hasn't trickled to us yet. And since it's a private company, I'm sure they're getting a kickback from the government, but it's going to be a while before markets the size of Tyler, we're a 200,000 metro market. It's going to be a while before we see them.
But even in the greener, more forward-thinking cities like Austin, right, you've got these monster and latte drinking millennials that build these neighborhoods of 50 to 100 homes.
Right.
They have a homeowners association which basically states that everything's green energy.
Right.
So they all drive fully electric cars, probably mostly Teslas. But come in and they plug them in at night. It sells the power back to the grid on behalf of the homeowners association. I mean, there's things about this that I just don't think that a lot of people here in this area are seeing to get their enthusiasm up for electric.
Yeah. You mentioned range anxiety. So you don't even know range anxiety until
you're on the highway.
Until it's midnight. You're in the middle of freaking nowhere, Oklahoma, And Ford does this awesome thing. They put a little blue outline on the built-in navigation showing exactly how far you could go in any given direction based on your current charge. So when you're originally driving around, it's this big blue blob that you don't see the edges of. But as you're, dipping down into the 10 and 9 and 8% battery charge, that little blue blob gets very small around the little arrow that represents the Mach-E. And let me tell you, I know for a fact, because I'm in the industry, that, unplugging your phone does nothing for range. Turning off the interior lights does nothing for the range. Dimming the dashboard does nothing for adding to the range. But you better believe I'm unplugging everything. I'm turning everything as dim and as low as it'll go. I'm creeping at 55 miles an hour. I had to sweet talk my way out of paying a cash-only toll in the great state of Oklahoma because I had... oh gosh, what was it? Like 13 miles of range left and 10 miles until I could get to the next charger. I was sweating it. I did not think I was going to make it. And if she had not let me talk my way out of paying that toll, I would have told her, well, I guess I'm plugging into your booth for 24 hours because that's how long it's going to take me to get any usable distance out of this vehicle.
How long did it take you to charge up before you could go?
So that was another thing. You mentioned delivering them to us is an issue because we don't have the fast chargers here. So he brought it to me with about 30%. I found a dealership that allowed me the fastest charger in town, got it up to, I believe...
Thank you, Peltier Nissan.
Yes. Thank you
Peltier
so much.
Kia. Thank you very much.
Josh,
thanks,
you rock.
Josh. You bet.
So I got it up to, I believe, 75% in about 55 minutes. So I was there for a while, and it took a while, but it finally
Say that again? I'm sorry.
About 75% from 30. So added 45% of range in about 55 minutes. It's okay.
That's all right.
It's not great. And
not great.
It got to the point where I knew I was driving to Amarillo. I knew I had to get on the road. It was like 3 p.m. by the time I finally hooked all my cameras up and hit the road and said, here we go. And got me to Fort Worth just fine. No problem. Like I said, I overcharged there. Everything fell off the rails after that because trying to reroute me and me finding that hotel overnight charger, it just wasn't right. Texas does not have the infrastructure yet. Oklahoma does not necessarily have the infrastructure yet, but it is coming. It is getting here. And the more of these EVs that manufacturers crank out, the more demand there's going to be for them. So
they're going to do it. It's not a if, just so all you guys know.
Win.
Yeah, it's win. And they set a potential target as 2035 for the big three to stop production of the ICE, the internal combustion engine. And I don't know that they're going to be able to hold it to that. I think it's going to be tough. Another fascinating thing that this is bringing forward is, so I'm sure anyone that listens to your podcast is familiar with SEMA.
Yes.
So SEMA, an event in Las Vegas each year for cars, has begun sending me emails.
Okay.
Very similar to how I would imagine email from the NRA would be regarding. I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny or political, but one of the big deals, one of the big campaign part of the NRA is, of course, the Second Amendment.
Right.
And they're possibly coming for our guns because I'm a gun owner, so don't hate me. But the fact is that SEMA sent me an email saying, hey, they're going to come after our internal combustion engines. We need you to sign on to a large document en masse and help block this legislation. Well, I don't think they're coming for my internal combustion engines. Okay,
not in our lifetimes.
Correct. What they're going to do is they're going to get, the gas will be harder to find. Right. Probably the fuel to run them will be harder to find. But given America's rich heritage in the automobile industry and the fact that the internal combustion engine fueled that whole history. Yeah. I doubt very seriously we'll see a quote-unquote cash for clunkers or cash for ICE,
right.
If you will. I think those of you who have classic cars, don't sweat this, don't worry this. But hey, maybe by 2035, it's time for you to get off your ass and get one electric vehicle for the car you're driving around town. You can charge it in at your house or plug it in at your house every night. Run around, do your things. If range anxiety is an issue now, where you've got an internal combustion engine to drive, And by 2035, I think it's very reasonable that we see these ranges doubled, if not tripled. So it's just the battery technology.
And GM has partnered with LG Chem, and I really see them, at least they're banking on it. They're betting on it full force that they are going to be the leaders in that battery tech industry, that they are going to master the range. And the first vehicles they're rolling out to us, unfortunately, are 9,000-pound monstrosities.
Trucks.
Yeah, so you're having to haul all this mass around, and it's not exactly fuel efficient. But Mary Barra did tease.
The Mach-E weighed, didn't it weigh 5,000 pounds?
5,000 pounds. It was as much as that Explorer I was driving around.
Roseanne Barr, coupes.
It's ridiculous what they weigh, but the fact that all their weight is down low, did you take that thing around any corners?
Yeah, of course. I do that to every car. Ford, I want you to know that every car you send me, be it car or truck, it goes around corners quickly. It lays rubber in front of my house, and it gets the neighbor's attention. Thank you. You're welcome.
That being said, you probably would not be able to do it with the vehicle they just took away from me, which I know I talked about this. For any listeners who were listening to last week's episode, I'm sorry. I'm on a rant here. You got me going. Plug-in hybrids. Why the hell are so many companies skipping over that step? I don't get it.
Can't figure that one out either, because one of the we talked about this also, but another one they sent me in this run, or the last run, was the F-150 electric.
Yeah,
the Lightning. If you will. Well, it's not the Lightning, but the Power Boost, EcoBoost, Power Boost, whatever the hell they're calling it. It was a hybrid, full-size truck.
Right.
And so let me paint a picture for you guys in this type of environment. But I live on the same road that Cory does. I live off the same road. I take Copeland Road to work every morning from 2 miles or a mile further down the road than you do to Copeland in the Loop, which is a straight line for those of you who don't know it. So each day I was able to go back and forth from work on complete battery. I had to massage it a little bit. I couldn't start fast and whatever. But man, that's cool. Yeah. I had the EcoBoost plus the electric anytime I wanted it for performance or towing or whatever. But when I didn't need it, I didn't have to engage the internal combustion motor. That's where I think the money is right now. Until they figure out, I think they should just shelve all the fully electrics until they have a better handle on the life expectancy of the batteries, the range, and go to these hybrids, because it's the way to go. And
I called it last week the gateway drug to the real thing, because as unexciting as that Escape plug-in hybrid was that I had, the fact that it had a 38-mile pure electric range, like there was a button in the center console that I could tell it, do not turn the engine on unless I tell you to come on.
Correct.
And I was able to run about my normal daily life, run errands all throughout town without using a drop of gas. And that same vehicle, the same day they brought it to me, I drove to Houston and back and never stopped for fuel on the trip to Houston. I just drove the 4 hours straight, Tyler to Houston. And I'm like, this is what we're missing. This is what we need more of. Why is everybody skipping over this step? And it's because it's not sexy. It's not cool. That Mach-E is so much fun because it puts you in the back of the seat. And
well, for 5 seconds.
Right.
And that's bullshit. I really think so. I mean, come on. They I think it's 0 to 60 in around
4.8 is
the non-GT.
Right.
I think the GT's 3 and change.
Right.
The non-GT's 4. So that's great. So you just get plastered in the seat for 4.92 seconds. And then it goes, ooh, because the battery is computer controlled to go down. So I guess you just won't take off. You know what I mean? But I get the reasoning behind that, I guess. But I can't wait for it, Cory. I mean, I just can't get it fast enough. But I'm with you. We're not spending enough time on this hybrid. And maybe that gets Bubba used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Bubba just sees a little electric thing and doesn't get so damn scared anymore. You know, well, hell, I can plug it in somewhere. I have to plug it in at the house. Or, you know, it'll regenerate on stuff, you know.
Truly is. It's the gateway drug. You got to ease people into how many years, 100+ years we've been making gas powered cars. You expect us to turn on a dime and rely solely on electricity? Especially here in East Texas, we're still reeling. We have snow in the forecast as you and I sit here today.
No, I don't even want to talk about
and we're all like, oh gosh, not again.
One more reason to help with fossil fuels. But you know, the thing that I was thinking about the Mach-E's range anxiety is how much of that did I self-impose, that range anxiety? How much did I force myself to look at it? And the truth is, I don't think I ever got below 20%. You know, just because I was so paranoid. So
well, you know, it was one of those famous last words moments. I'm, you know, driving through Dallas traffic. We get stopped. Gotta love I-20 in Garland or wherever it is. And, you know, I'm talking to the camera, you know, oh, range anxiety, it's nothing. I've still got 40%. I'm almost to my charging station, blah, 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 blah. Little did I know that at midnight, I'd be begging a toll booth operator to let me pass because, yes, I'm a millennial. No, I don't carry change with me. Who does cash-only toll booths anymore? I don't know. That was a strange one to me, but yeah, little did I know what was in my very near future in regards to that vehicle.
Take it from a Gen X. Keep $100 in cash with you at all times in 20s. Okay, yeah. I'm telling you, make your life much easier.
It would solve so many of the problems that I've had in the past 10 years. So yes, not discounting that whatsoever. All right, so we literally could probably talk EVs.
We wanted to.
The entire trip. I am on the verge of a trip to the Chicago Auto Show. They've already confirmed the Silverado EV is going to be there. They've already confirmed the Hummer truck EV is going to be there. I, like you, I'm all in. Like, yes, give me more, but give me options. Don't quit making the V8 powered fun, loud things. I want options. And
that's a topic one day. If you want me on again, I'll discuss with you the loud cars. Okay. I adore fast cars. Okay. I love to go to the track, everything else. There's a difference between a fast car that's kind of loud and every Mustang that thinks it sounds like a 10-second Mustang. And I'm wondering when we're going to start to rein some of this in. I know that it's a movement around. And again, this is some guys, I'm sorry if this pisses you off, because I guarantee you're not more of a car person than I am. I love the culture. I love cars. But at some point, every 17-year-old cutting the exhaust off from the cat back, or some
fart can muffler
on an import, or these thrush mufflers on these Mustangs. And it's mostly Mustangs. You don't hear them on Camaros a lot. It's mostly you Mustang guys that want to be heard and not seen, I guess. But man, I'm ready for them to take a swing at that a little bit. I think I would vote for something, some type of legislation to just hold it at some decibel level, because it's getting distracting. It's not just every now and then.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I've even recording here in my studio. We're in a neighborhood in East Texas. I've had to like cut and re-edit or re-record stuff because of people running up and down the street. There is a limit, and I'm 35. Am I 35 now? Yeah, I think I'm 35 now. The older I get, the more I'm like, these dang old kids with their loud cars. But
hey man, are you throwing that at me, or are you just saying okay?
No, I'm coming. I
let my 18-year-old cut off his exhaust off from the catback from the old Dodge truck I gave him. I'm not anti it, but it just at some point, guys. Speed makes noise,
right?
So if you put a performance chip on your car, if you put a modified exhaust system on your car, an intake, etc., it's going to affect how loud that car is, and that's fine.
Right.
But just to have it loud for the sake of it being loud and not any faster,
right?
I don't get.
Well, the ones I don't get, as with you,
stupid as rolling coal, which is freaking stupid. Emails to Cory, please.
Yes, right. Don't get me started on that one. But yeah, all these people that'll just do loud for the sake of loud, not for any horsepower gains, and not even necessarily a good loud. It's just flat loud. I made the joke fart can mufflers. My brother was big into the import, saying we've had many a four-banger in our family that was just loud to be loud. There's good loud and there's bad loud. And, Mustangs, left to their own devices, Ford knows what they're doing. Mustang 5.0 sounds amazing.
They spend millions of dollars to get them to sound like they do under low throttle, mid throttle, and WOT.
And
you're gonna fix it with $300 freaking dollars at the muffler shop downtown. No muff too tough or whatever it says on the side. It's not happening. You're not gonna spend. You know, when Acura came out with one of the last Integras, they told the tuner guys, "Hey, spend all the money you want trying to get more horsepower of this motor. You're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We've just spent $30 million trying to figure out how to make this thing quick. So you're never going to be able to outthink the manufacturer in your backyard.
Right.
I don't think. Sorry, I'm opinionated. You knew this when you asked me on here. Yeah.
The R&D that goes into it, I think more or less like, so going back to my Chevy truck with the bow tie sitting next to you, one of the first things I did was pull the intake off, and all the...
There's still dead DNA on that, too.
Oh my... Yeah.
All right, just want to let you know. I don't know exactly what it is.
All the appendages on that old intake and the baffles and the things to reduce all the noise that I got instantaneously putting the K&N intake on that I replaced it with, I was like, well, this is just the way to go. So, like, bypassing all that, you know, we've got to make it quiet for Aunt Sally who's going to buy this and live with it. I didn't need that. I loved hearing the sound of the 5.3 breathing in. And yes, I put a $700 Gibson exhaust on it, but man, it sounded good. It accentuated all the good things. No, it wasn't a 300 no muff too tough.
I mean. Right.
Like, do it. If you're going to do it right. If you're going to waste time and waste money doing it, spend a little bit more and get the good stuff. Don't go cheap. Like, yeah.
And of course, the antithesis of this, what we started the program talking about with electric cars. When I had the Mach-E, I was driving it around at night. I showed a friend of mine has a first generation Raptor.
Okay.
So I take Ford products over to him a lot. And we were driving it around the neighborhood. We came around a corner and there were some people walking a dog. And came right up on them.
Didn't even
And
hear.
I rolled down the window and I said, they thought I was crazy. I said, excuse me. I said, you don't know me, but I'm just curious. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
No.
Well, same point. I was leaving. I was at the Houston Auto Show at NRG Center, and there was a parking attendant with his back to me in the plug-in escape hybrid that I was in. So low
Did you run
speed.
over him?
I about did. He did not move. He did not hear me, and the direction in which I was coming and the way the exit was, I went around him, but did not realize because the road was curved that I was now heading into entering traffic, not exiting traffic. And he's like, hey. But like I literally crept up on him until he heard me. So, because I couldn't tell if he was like the divider between incoming traffic and exiting traffic. Sure enough, I found out the hard way. He's like, hey, get over here.
I've long campaigned for all electric cars to make the Jetson car sound.
So you
there's
joke
no way
about
that shouldn't be done.
You joke about that.
I'm dead freaking serious about this, Cory.
I drove a Mercedes EQS, which if you know anything about the Mercedes lineup, S signifies the top of the line. So EQ is their electric. EQS is their top of the line. Right now it's their only, but it's their best electric. And it's got 2 drive mode sounds. And my goodness, I felt like I was in Star Trek or the Jetsons or something. That's exactly what it sounded like inside. I have no idea what it sounded like outside and wasn't going to give anyone the keys to drive past me for that reason. I will say the downside to the EV platform is the lame binging chime when you put them in reverse. Like there's got to be
the forklift sound.
Yeah, there's got to be something better than the boom, boom, boom.
It took me, God, I don't know how many models to figure out what the hell was going on with that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Is that the cable guy? What's going on here? Like, no, it's you.
Did I forget to take out the garbage?
Yeah. No, it's you. Yeah. But interesting because you and I were chatting over lunch one day that you had the opportunity to get the Mach-E GT. I'm going to have to come over and see you because I am wholeheartedly going and asking for that one next in the press.
No,
fleet.
I turned it down.
Yeah.
I told you. I mean, I don't know. I only thought it was fair. Look, Ford, hey, Ken, if you want to send it to me, I'll review it. My problem with it was The GT, the only difference that I can see, other than handling, which honestly, unless we're on a controlled track, we're never going to know the difference. And for those of you who drive out there, understand that on a street, you will never be able to understand the capabilities of the car. But if Ford wanted to send it to me, I felt the only thing that I could really, because I did a lengthy write-up on this. Right. This was more of a piece about electric experience more than the car even.
Right.
And so my fear was, what am I going to be able to say?
It's faster.
It's faster. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because, yes, everybody with their Honda Civic Si or you name it, whatever vehicle you want to put into that sentence, thinks that their car is the fastest.
By the way, that's one of the best looking cars I've seen, which I hated when it came out.
Really? The 22 version?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting take. Okay. Right. So I put up a video of a 2022 Kia Forte GT, which undercuts the Civic Si by $4,000 if you option it right, which is beyond me. Same power numbers. You can get a 6-speed manual in it.
Spare motor.
Fun little car. And yes, you could if you had to.
Sorry, I told you.
But undercuts the Civic by $4,000. And I kid you not, half of the comments on that video on YouTube was complaining it didn't have a limited slip differential up front. And that goes back to everybody who buys one of these is a spec sheet jockey that has never pushed their vehicle to the limits. Like I am fortunate enough, blessed enough as a member of Texas Auto Riders. In the fall, we get to test off-road vehicles on a proper off-road track designed to test articulation and all the things in a controlled environment. In the spring, we go to Texas Motor Speedway and test cars on a track in an environment that it's designed to be in. So granted, we're not trying to wreck any cars or, be Jeremy Clarkson spinning out at 100 miles an hour, but we get to push these cars much harder than you would in
we
traffic.
Get to lose control in a controlled environment.
Right.
That's the key.
And people don't understand, like that Kia Forte GT, it didn't have a limited slip diff. 99% of the use case for that car, you don't need it. Like there are so many of these, like I say, spec sheet jockeys that say, they're just reading down the list of what it has and what it doesn't have. Take, for instance, I'm driving a Bronco right now. All the Jeep faithful, it's got an independent front suspension. Jeep Wrangler's got a solid front axle. And all the Jeep boys are like, nope, that ain't it. That's not going to do it. Let me tell you, the Bronco is good. You said the Bronco is good.
There's no question. I mean, look, independent suspensions will never be as strong as a solid axle. Who cares? Big deal. Go. That's what I'm saying. The new Bronco salute's probably going to be the one-finger salute to the Jeep guys. But it's they do get too people do get too carried away with the spec sheets and what it is. Case in point, and I would just tell anyone, if you're out there and you're listening to the podcast, and you classify yourself as an enthusiast, and you may happen to drive a performance car, there's a program that goes from place to place across America called the Extreme Experience. And the Extreme Experience for about $500 lets you go in and get an hour's worth of classroom, and then let you out on the track on cars. Basically, they start at like Hellcat level and go up to Lamborghinis. I've did it for my son to show him that I really wanted to show him what he didn't know.
Right. In a controlled environment.
In a controlled environment. So he got to drive the 993. It was a fun day for him. But if you want to really hone your skills, learn how to drive, the first thing you learn, rule 1, line 1, track only.
Right.
Okay? Go get an extra set of tires for your Hellcat and go out there on the track, waste them in one day, spend $1,200 on tires for the day, and come back, and you will be able to come back to your wife and kid.
Right.
When you're doing 120 on the interstate and you decide to floor it, which in some of the new cars that's possible, so you can be up to wherever the speed limiter allows you to go, or in some cases you've had it disengaged through the main computer on the car, the PCM. You're going to hit a bump. You're going to, I'm not going to say a lady, some mature driver that's not expecting you coming up behind them at 180 is going to panic, and the first thing people do when they freaking panic is hit the brakes. Yeah. That's it. So you can either, become, it wasn't Bam Margera. What was the guy that flipped his Porsche with
you're gonna put me on the spot. Doesn't matter, but yeah,
that's all right. Yeah, but you're gonna be the jackass, is what I'm saying. You're gonna be the dead jackass.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. To your point, yes. Go experience.
Don't be a dead jackass.
Go experience what speed is like in a controlled environment that allows you to do that. Because you're right. You never know.
It's more fun.
Yes, and you never know when somebody's going to throw a wrench, a deer come run out in front of you, a ball come bounce across the street, someone slam on the brake, change a lane. There are so many possibilities out there that'll leave you upside down in a ditch or spread 20 miles down the road because you're just going too fast in an area that wasn't meant for it.
The term you want to know is terminal velocity.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do we have time for a quick story?
Go for it.
So my old co-host of the show, David Irwin, used to run Tyler Ford for years and years in town. He was a military guy. He's a man's man. And he was in the artillery, and they tested out a new weapon, a 50 caliber, I think, weapon on one of these personnel carriers, and they filled the personnel carrier with sheep. Okay? So from 500 yards away, they fire. The projectile enters the personnel carrier on one side, exits on the other. No bigger hole than a 3-inch diameter hole on either side. Nothing was left in the armored personnel carrier. There was just a 300-yard string of blood and hair, 3 inches wide. And that's terminal velocity. Right. I want you guys to know that literally happens behind the wheel. You will not survive a wreck on the street above 130 90% of the time. So don't be stupid, you moron.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough. My photographer is a state trooper by day, and he's told me some stories, and he's like, there are certain things I will not do in a car because I've seen the ill-fated consequences of it. And yeah, it's...
You need to get Jeannie Dark on here. Have you done that yet?
No, I have not.
Oh yeah, she's the marketing arm for the highway patrol up here. She's something else, man. She's crazy.
I'll reach out to her. Yeah. But back in my day, it was Red Mist or something, that scary promotional thing that they show you to scare 15-year-old kids like me at the time out of doing stupid stuff behind the wheel of a car. And, when I was coming up, there was a famous wreck in the area. A woman's face was imprinted on a tree from her Camaro just shattering around her, and it was unrecognizable as a car. And her face was
her image was left on the tree.
Yeah, it has stuck.
Did you get a picture?
No, I did not. So this was the famous news story to keep youngins like me from doing stupid things, because it happened on Biloxi. I can tell you exactly where it happened. 15, 16, 20 years later, I still remember what they told us.
Oh, this happened here?
Yes. It was here in Texas 20 years ago, which sounds crazy.
Here or in the great state of?
Here, on Biloxi, just north of 346. Oh. Yeah.
Heart goes out to the parents or whoever had to bury that poor child.
Yeah.
Apologize, but it's man, speed kills.
Stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah, don't be stupid. Go out like you did for your son and experience it in a controlled environment like you did for your son. Teach him all the things he didn't know.
Need to know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. And
because
also
you're invincible at 16 with keys and 4 wheels, right?
As far as you know. But the thing about it also you might want to ponder is the fact that $500 in the automotive performance world is pennies.
I know.
So what a great way to spend $500.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's an enjoyable day at the track. You haven't ruined your car. You're going to be a better driver when you're done with it. So it's Extreme Experience, extremeexperience.com. If you want to try it, tell them you heard it on Garage Talk.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Lonnie, we literally could sit here and talk everything automotive for many, many more hours. I've got a list of questions here that I like to end all my interviews with. Sure. It's this or that questions just to, get into your psyche a little bit more. And I'm kind of anxious to see your thoughts on some of these. I can rule out a handful of them because I already know the answer, but I'll ask you 8 because every good engine needs 8 cylinders. So first things first, I ask all my guests this. Do you name your vehicles?
No.
No? Just a hard pass on that?
It's ridiculously stupid. Yeah.
Never mind my opinion on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's all right.
All right. So my next one on here is ICE or EV. We've already gone there. But new or classic? New or classic? Are you more into?
Damn, these are hard questions. Like really, both. I own a 1974 Camaro that is was rotisserie. It wasn't a frame off because there's no frame.
Right.
And I'm super intrigued by new tech. So both.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Same here, because I'm just as intrigued by the EV culture and what we have coming as I am my favorite car, 69 Camaro.
Someone put it in perspective. A 1974 Camaro was as far away as a 1918 car as a 74 Camaro is from a car today.
Oh, dear.
Let that settle in.
Think how much technology.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, my gosh.
That's what I'm saying.
You just blew my mind, sir.
That's what I'm here for.
Off-road or on-road?
Off. Every day.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
So you've mentioned Barnwell. You go out there frequently?
No, I'm a little older, so and off-roading is a very expensive hobby. I'm into overlanding.
Okay.
So I just want to drive, see the scene, maybe have a cold one out there, just drive safe with a couple other like-minded people. That's why I'm very excited about potentially when trucks get electric, so I can drive out in these places and not hear any motor sound whatsoever, and just your nature.
That's exactly how Jeep sold the 4xe, was the complete silenceness of being able to go out and be wherever,
It's great. It's like walking around naked.
Yeah. They had the twigs snapping and deers looking up because, the Jeep's coming through and it's completely silent. So let's see here. This will be a good one. What is your favorite driving, I'll say soundtrack? It could be a genre. It could be...
Tool.
Oh, really? Okay. I wouldn't have gone there for you.
What, because of my age, you would have said the Stones or some stupid shit like that?
Maybe.
Tool.
Maybe. All right. That's a little more like me in high school type era.
I've got the brain of a high school.
Okay. This will be a good one. I bet you it'll be electrified. From your experience, from your seat, where you've been watching the industry change over the past couple of decades, most interesting vehicle on the road today?
Most interesting for me would be one I'll never drive, and that would be the electrified semis.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And Tesla's throwing their hat in the ring, and they're just making some crazy stuff out there.
Yeah. It's going to put a big dent in the meth market.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. While we're on the electric truck thing, Cybertruck, thoughts there?
It's ugly.
Ugly as hell?
To me, it just does nothing for me.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I like that he...
As does Elon. Nothing for me.
I like that he just said, screw the template. Forget what, a truck is supposed to be. Let's build a truck how we want to make it.
Then he achieved what he wanted.
Yes, he did. Let's see. You say you drive a Jeep. Are you Team Wrangler, Team Bronco?
I'm Team Bronco.
Okay.
Yeah. I drive a Grand Cherokee.
Okay.
So I don't drive a toaster.
All right. Same vein, TRX or Raptor?
I have not driven the TRX, full disclosure. I'm tied to Ford. I took a shot at Howie Long with one of my reviews one time when Ford did their original Man Step.
Right.
Howie Long came on and made fun of it. So I decided I would take Howie to task. He's not going to go find me and beat me up.
Right.
So I took him to task because you can't play 20 years in the NFL and get into a damn truck without a Man Step.
Right.
Okay. Ford liked it. I started getting Raptors 2 to 3 times a year. I'm a big lover of the first generation Raptor.
Okay. Back when they put a V8 in them like they're supposed to.
Well, not only the V8, but they just everything's gotten so massive at this point, so tall, so wide, so huge that in most cases there's a lot of places you just can't drive them because of the girth in the size of them. So, if you had to ask me my choice, I'd want a first gen Raptor.
Okay. That's definitely an interesting take. I haven't had on that question before. All right.
Like I tell my wife, bigger is not always better.
And we'll end with color or grayscale. It seems like everything is monotone now.
Color.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah. The Mach-E GT that is in the press fleet that you or I may get to sample in that grabber blue is just...
Oh, that's one of my favorite colors.
Yeah.
That is one of my
I would have to have it in that color. I tested a C8 Corvette in there. They call it...
Electric blue or something like that.
Rapid blue, I believe. Right. That thing, it was a gray...
Guys my age called it Z28 blue.
Okay.
Back in the day. Seriously, it's one of the most beautiful colors of blues. Most of the manufacturers have it. There has been, I think, silver, white, and black are the three top colors, right? With white, silver, in descending order. Yeah. I'm ready for color. I think right now the sexiest car to me would be a really ultra performance car in retirement red. I mean, I like, versus just bright red. That retirement red's a little subtle. Most people that buy these cars aren't in their 20s unless they're .com guys. So, it doesn't make you look like you're trying to be a poser.
Well, you and I are both in very beautiful red Fords right now. I've got that Outer Banks Bronco that I'm struggling to find things to knock on it. It would probably be the tires, which I could upgrade if I owned the rig.
You can't knock that.
Yeah, and that red paint job, I cannot tell you how good the Ford reds have become. The
like lipstick.
The red and the chrome on yours that you're driving, that Expedition, it had me hook, line, and sinker. You're not a fan, huh?
No, it's not red.
No? It's too metallic?
It's in your driveway, dude.
Oh, you're not driving a red one?
No.
Okay, they brought me the red one.
They give me nicer cars than you do, Cory.
Man, I got to get on Ken's back here.
There you go, man.
Is it a 21 or is it a 22?
It's a 25.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding. Hey, I'm just kidding you.
Yeah.
But it's black, and it's the they've all gone to the heavy metallic in the paint because I love black cars. One of the best things they ever did was stick a bunch of metallic in black because it makes it far easier to clean and maintain.
I've sworn off black cars. You're parked behind my daily driver black car. Car before that was black car. I'm done with it. I just you get all the swirls in the paint. Like, no, I'm done with it. Blue's my favorite color. I've never had a blue car. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I've gone out and bought several new vehicles. Why I haven't picked a blue one?
Sofia Vergara is my favorite actress, but hey, it is what it is.
Well, Lonnie, it has been great shooting the breeze with you, pulling you out of that on-air retirement just a little bit, easing you into the podcast world.
It was fun. This is a new thing. Yeah. A lot of radio people poo-poo the podcast movement, and I've been paying more and more attention to it in the past 3 to 5 years. Okay. And I think it's the way to go. The people are actually tuning in for the content. Yeah. So keep listening to Garage Talk, guys. Keep supporting Cory. If you like the format, you like the show, the best way to do it is just tune in, answer the questions, and log on.
Ringing endorsement from a long-time radio guy. Thank you so much for it. You said your work can still be found at ktbb.com, correct?
Go to ktbb.com/carshowcorner. Okay. And you can find my reviews there. And I occasionally I'll post them on Facebook, but just ktbb.com.
Easiest way to find you. Well, there you have it, Gearheads. It has been a blast sitting down with Lonnie, getting to talk cars with him. As with always, you know where to find us, how to find us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the things at GT Garage Talk. And everything we do, including links to our YouTube channel, can be found at gtgaragetalk.com. Until next time, bye.